And welcome back to Real News Michiana's weekly Real News Roundup. I'm your host, Ben, and this Viking-looking bearded vigilante sitting to the right of your screen, to the left of me, is Clifton French. He's the editor and founder of Real News Michiana. What's up, homie?
Until Valhalla, Ben. Until Valhalla.
Okay, so we have some stuff to talk about this week, don't we?
The Satanists are really coming after the schools. That's a big thing.
Before we get into this, Listen, please like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, okay? And at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see a link to realnewsmichiana.com. That's where you go into our website and you become a subscriber. Because when you're a subscriber, you help keep more of this local news coming to you. And this is stuff that actually affects you. This isn't stuff you see on legacy media channels, right? This is stuff that affects you that nobody else is talking about.
Yeah, this is stuff that doesn't meet the legacy media narrative, right? I was in the legacy media for more than a dozen years. These people have an agenda. They don't want to cover things that go against that agenda. And I'm here to break that cycle of lies that are coming to you from everybody else. You won't find anything like this. And just for 30 cents a day, you keep Real News Michiana alive.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's get into the first story we had to cover this week. So this is the Berrien School Board stops prayer at meetings after attack from a satanic organization. Well, I guess we had a little bit of an update to that, and we're going to talk about that entire story right now. So take it away, Clifton.
Yeah, Ben. So Berrien Public Schools, they were starting all of their school board meetings off with a prayer, right? This is a common practice, by the way. They do this at the State House, too, before session. There is plenty of precedent for this kind of behavior. This is not forcing anybody to pray. This is just what they do. This is not forcing a religion onto anybody. This is not breaking any separation of church and state clause. However, people tend to cower when they get this type of legal threat, right? And so at Berrien, they start off all their school board meetings with this prayer. The NIA, the Northern Indiana Atheists, a nonprofit group that has ties to the Indiana Satanic Temple, that has done fundraisers for the Indiana Satanic Temple, that has also set up a satanic holiday display in the County City building in downtown South Bend. They reached out to an organization to file a complaint against this prayer happening before the school board meetings. And the school board said, hey, okay, we're not going to have prayer at the meetings anymore. Now so we dive a little bit further into here. They reached out, the NIA, they do this frequently. They reached out to the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which I believe you have quite a bit of information on that we can touch on a little bit later. But they reached out to them, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation sent out a letter to Berrien schools threatening them with legal action, saying you can't do this. So I reached out to the superintendent of schools. His name is James White, and he said, quote, "Since my hire nearly 8 years ago, it has historically been the community norm to offer prayer to start our board meetings. While I knew such activities were technically out of bounds, I respected the tradition. However, upon receiving the complaint, the board has elected to cease the practice." Right? Cowering 100% to these atheists and this satanic organizations.
Well, and a lot of this started with the Freedom from Religion Foundation, as you were talking about. They're the ones that they go all over the country. They try to coerce different local government entities to try to separate anything to do with religion, right? But they're kind of a religion themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't attack any religion except Christianity.
Exactly, because they're kind of a religion themselves. Yeah. So it's like they're intolerant of other people's religions and views.
They're only intolerant of Christianity. That's it. They are attacking Christians. They don't care about, honestly, if they were to start a prayer off, a Muslim prayer, or if they were to start off, with a satanic prayer, they'd probably be celebrating. It only has to do with Christianity. They hate Christians, they hate the West, and they want to destroy it.
Right. So I think around 2005-ish, the president and co-founder, of Freedom from Religion, her name is Laurie Gaylor. Okay, she actually tried to debate the founder of the Wall Builders, which is David Barton. He's on Glenn Beck a lot. He was on Jon Stewart before, and nobody can stump this guy. Like, it's when you're going to debate David Barton, you better be prepared. And she attempted to debate him about whether or not we're a Christian nation or not. And this video went viral many years ago. For a while, it disappeared off the internet. Then I was able to find it again and repost it on YouTube. But anyways, I do have a short clip I'm going to play. And it's going to show a quick glimpse of who this lady really is. She's incompetent, and she got embarrassed when she tried to debate David Barton.
By the way, the Treaty of Tripoli that was formulated under George Washington and signed by John Adams said that the United States was in no way a Christian nation. How about that?
You brought up the issue of the Treaty of Tripoli between George Washington and John Adams. Here's the original state papers that contain it. And people like you stop after the first clause. It's treaty with a Muslim nation. It says the government of the United States is in no sense founded on the Christian religion. That's where you stop. The rest of the clause says, as it has an inherent hostility toward the Muslim religion. They said, guys, we're not Europe. We're not Spain. We're not Portugal. We're not Italy. We don't hate you because you're Muslims. We're not that kind of a Christian nation. It does not say we're not a Christian nation. It says we're not a Christian nation that has an inherent hatred toward Muslims. That's a big difference. But you guys put a period in the middle of the sentence. This is the original treaty right here. I mean, that's what it says.
The only argument he has come up with is that a majority of people profess some form of Christianity. A majority of Americans, by the way, do not go to church. But that would be like saying this is a white nation because a majority of Americans are white or not of other races. Why would somebody want to make a statement like that?
You resort to racism when you can't win on
substance.
substance. I believe the truth wins out. I believe in free speech. I support her right to be wrong. I think she's wrong. I support her right to say what she wants to say. I don't have trouble with that. I have trouble when she tells me that I cannot have my right of free speech. That's a very intolerant view of my beliefs. I'll let her have her beliefs, but I don't think she should force hers on me.
Okay, Laurie, are you intolerant?
No, the Freedom from Religion Foundation has been leading the way in challenging President Bush's faith-based initiative.
Annie Laura earlier brought up the Treaty of Tripoli. A treaty she didn't bring up was Jefferson's treaty with the Kaskaskia Indians. Here it is, 1803.
Oh, snap. You didn't know?
Jefferson did this treaty, signed by him at the bottom. In this treaty, Thomas Jefferson, now Jefferson gave federal money to pay for missionaries to evangelize the Indians, and Jefferson gave federal funds to build churches so that when the Indians became evangelized, they'd have a place to worship. That's not faith-based funding. That's direct federal funding by Thomas Jefferson.
Then we got an update where I guess the school did not go along with what they were saying, and they're still offering this prayer. Is that right?
So this is it. There's some semantics going on here, Ben, right? Okay. So we have the school board president who won't talk to me, mind you. The school board president, his name is Brian Teal. He had sent some emails to some concerned parents after my story came out. And in his emails, he sent, quote, "I apologize for any confusion, but prayer still does take place before our board meetings, including the past school board meeting in February. I know this because I participated in the prayer, which took place at 6:20 p.m. with Mr. Huff and I. You are more than welcome to come pray with board members. And this is an open invitation to anyone. Hopefully we will see you there." That's what he wrote to a few parents, right? So he's saying that, hey, listen, we're still praying. The school board meetings start at 6:30. This goes against everything that the superintendent wrote to me, though. And I've had several parents reaching out saying, you're spreading division amongst this. You're spreading division amongst the board and this and that. No, I'm not. I am reporting exactly what has happened. The superintendent wrote an email cowering to the Satanists and the NIA, and the school board president is telling parents, no, we're still doing prayer. We're just doing it before. And nobody is now willing to talk to me about it because they're still scared of these Satanists.
Right, and it's always people like that are anti-religion, which is it's okay to be anti-religion, but to say you're dividing them by showing us the truth, that's kind of desperate. That's kind of disgusting. You're not dividing anybody. You're just shining a light on what's happening. And what's happening right in our front yard.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't believe. Don't
believe your lying eyes, Ben. Don't believe
your lying eyes. Exactly. Exactly. So let's get on with the next story because we could talk about this all day. So here we go. This guy, St. Joe County Commissioner. Okay, this guy, Derek Deiter, I think his name is, was caught on tape saying some pretty crazy things, joking around about some stuff. What are you going to say about this, Clifton?
So I want to put this out there first. Derek Deiter, I liked Derek Deiter. Derek Deiter seemed to be, he used to be a Democrat, then he switched over to the GOP, got elected to the county commission. I liked Derek Deiter. And then he has lost his mind ever since the new redistricting came out, and it looks like he's going to lose his seat. So he is just being desperate, doing all kinds of stuff and making some big mistakes. So Derek Deiter, along with Council Vice President Bobby Krasinski and South Bend Common Council President Sharon McBride, they've been doing their own audit, which I agree with, of a pop-up homeless shelter in South Bend. This homeless hotel that's at the old Madison Center that is being run by a developer that is doing some shady stuff, right? So I agree with what they're doing when they are going to this place. However, in the process, under their capacity as actual officials, public officials for St. Joe County, they're in this facility, and the security cameras capture Derek Deiter joking around about buying women, buying sex with one of these homeless people. Let's just play the clip.
Whoa. Where's all that money I fucking loan you, mother?
Hey, man, I spent it. Man, it's in me, man. Look, I done drunk it up, man. Look. And I ate it up and drunk it up.
Still gonna buy your
No, I get that on credit.
All right.
It's important to note, right? These aren't just some people palling around at a bar. That joking around like that with your friends, or you've had some drinks, that's one thing. But these guys are acting in their official capacity. These people are paid by the taxpayers to go around and do this stuff, and that's the problem we have.
And then I will say, I say things, right? I say things that in my home or just between me and you that are just can sometimes be crass or something else, right? I would never say what he said there to anybody.
Right. And then I mean, and some would, but to do it in your official capacity, it's unprofessional, just to say the least, right?
And on top of this, Deiter was a police officer for a very long time. Deiter is a retired police officer, okay? Especially someone who has been in that profession, knows the impact of prostitution on people, on society, on the victim, on the women, the victim, the people who are being human trafficked as well, right? And to just go around and willy-nilly say this kind of stuff, it's gross, it's vulgar, it's extremely disgusting, and honestly, it doesn't belong anywhere in our in our public discourse at all. I think that Deiter, along with Bobby Kay and Sharon McBride, should all step down and resign. I think that there's more videos I'm going to be coming out with from that facility that are bad for all of them, especially Sharon McBride too. I think that all of them should step down. I think that McBride and Bobby Kay should have said something, at least, instead of sat there and laughed about that, right? They should have said something. They should have walked away. Instead, after that was said, they all went inside of this facility and followed that homeless man in there along with Deiter. That they should have stopped right there. They should have cut Deiter out. They should have said something. Instead, they just rolled with it like it was okay. I'm sorry, that's not okay. All three of these people need to step down.
On to the next story. Here we are. PHM broke public record laws. The state just came down on them pretty hard. So
yeah. How about that?
Here we are talking about PHM again. I've heard a little bit about these secret meetings they have, right?
Uh-huh.
The diversity, equity, and inclusion officer, right?
Nothing to see here, Ben.
Nothing to see here, right? And here's the thing. Some of the members of our Strengthen Our Schools group were actually, I guess, couple of them were in these secret meetings. Well, since we called them out for being secretive, they stepped away from the group. They have no contact with anybody. They won't talk to any parents. Something is going on there, Clifton. I want you to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, this was a blatant violation of Indiana's open door laws, right? So they have after the death of George Floyd, and then you had BLM going into PHM saying, hey, you didn't say anything about this. PHM is racist, all of this stuff. The school board came out and said, okay, we're going to be working on diversity and inclusion and everything, right? And essentially that was just pushing CRT into the schools. So they created this SAC, the Superintendent Advisory Council, which, according to the website for PHM, is the objective of the SAC is to serve as an advisory role regarding the implementation of the district's DEI goals, diversity, equity, and inclusion goals, proposed by the SAC. PHM values this and celebrates diversity and seeks to work on eliminating racial injustices and discrimination within the school district where there exists none anyway, right? So it's all pushing critical race theory. It's all pushing how can we get more CRT into social emotional learning curriculum? How can we get it into other areas of the school? How can we train teachers on this professional development and indoctrinate teachers even more? How can we get our students to get on board with this terrible critical race theory propaganda, right? This communist Marxist freaking theory. And on top of that, and gender theory too, trying to trans our kids. So anyway, they made all of these meetings and all the documents and everything for them. They made all of this stuff secret. They claimed that it wasn't open to public records. The reason that they were claiming it wasn't open to public records is because the advisory board, right, the Superintendent Advisory Committee, wasn't an elected board. That they were appointed by the superintendent, the people on this, which is crazy. That's not how the law works. That's not how the law has ever worked. These people are on an official public board, public tax dollars, your schools, all of that stuff is open to the public. So there was a parent who said, yes, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. So, but I mean, and that's the thing, like, if you're doing something good, why are you hiding it? Why are you hiding it? It makes no sense, except you're trying to hide something.
Now, Clifton, I will say some of the parents that were in that secret meeting, some of them were emphatically against CRT, but the problem is transparency. Yep. Right? We still, like, if you're not telling us what's going on in these meetings, if nothing's coming out about it, then you're part of the problem.
I'm sorry. Some of the parents are against CRT who are in those meetings, right?
Yes.
Yes. They were absolutely outnumbered, and so it didn't matter anyway. And on top of that, since it's not open to the public and none of these documents are open to the public, it's plausible deniability. You can just deny what's happening in there, right? So there was a parent who filed this complaint with Indiana's public access counselor who oversees Indiana's public records laws. He did an investigation and he said, you are way wrong. The school is way wrong. You cannot close all of these meetings to the public. This is a huge win for parents, Ben. A massive win for parents.
I spoke at the school board last Monday at the school board meeting. I spoke about transparency. What I spoke about was wanting his office to be part of the board meetings, to have an agenda item assigned to his office. So we know what curriculum is added, what curriculum is taken away, and what for. Because if parents have that transparency, then we're not going to be so concerned. The problem is secret meetings like that, like what you're talking about, okay? And this magical equity office that nobody knows anything about or what he's doing. We need to know that. That needs to be part of the agenda items during every school board meeting going forward. And that's what I mentioned in my speech, and I'll play a little bit of it in a second here. Yeah.
First person in person is Mr. Ben Dallas. Welcome, Mr. Dallas.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Happy Monday. We want is, I guess, the transparency part. You guys have already started, I guess, August of 2020. You guys already started a really good thing with you guys hired the diversity and equity inclusion officer. That's a good vehicle for someone that looks into the curriculum, finds things, that singles out kids, because of race, skin color, ethnicity, and he removes it. So that's a good first start. You hired somebody to do this. My suggestion, I guess, going forward is transparency. Have his office maybe be part of the agenda going forward in board meetings, right? Maybe he could explain possibly, what curriculum he removed and why. And more importantly, what he added and why. So if parents like me can get that kind of transparency, we can rest easy.
So, yeah, I mean, big win for parents here. These meetings have to be open to the public. All of the documents have to be made available to the public. And PHM can't be hiding that info. I'm sure they'll find another way to hide it, and, until somebody figures out how it's being hidden.
Mental gymnastics.
Yeah,
that's all they do. They hide behind different definitions. They change the definitions of certain words, and it's an ongoing circle of mental gymnastics, so they can do whatever the hell they want with no transparency.
Speaking of hiding information, and if what you're doing is so good, the satanic teacher in Fort Wayne that picked up some national headlines, Ben. I'm actually surprised it took this long. It took a little more than a month for national media to start picking up on this 4th grade teacher in Fort Wayne who founded the Indiana Satanic Temple and owns the Indiana Satanic Temple.
Good Lord.
Yeah. This public teacher. However, Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire spoke about it on his show at length for about 6 minutes. The Daily Wire published a story about it. Actually, I had a reporter from the Daily Wire reach out to me about all of this prior to that. Red State picked it up. I mean, there were probably 24 different national outlets that picked up that story. So
MSNBC, MSNBC, CBS, CNN.
Well, I don't think they picked that up.
Why not?
It doesn't meet the narrative, dude.
Right.
So Fox News didn't even pick it up, but you still had. So I mean, you have these national media outlets that are non-traditional, that are really taking off, right? Like the Daily Wire, like Breitbart, like all of that, that are putting out information that we gather. So, super important to continue to do what we do. Once again, big plug here. Go to realnewsmichiana.com, subscribe, $9 a month. It's 30 cents a day. And that keeps the lights on. And I need those subscriptions. All right.
That wraps up our show. And as always, stay informed, folks.